No, I may ask some questions. How is everybody this evening? This is Bobby Piton. It's been an exciting evening for me today. I just did a wonderful post about a topic that's, I guess you can say everybody who's listening in on this probably cares more about than some Americans, and actually quite a few of Americans right now, because a lot of Americans have definitely become corrupted by evil forces within various, I guess, elements of government and so forth. Live now. And so let me get this posted. Hey, Jim, how are you? I'm driving tonight, so I will be listening. It's good that you're going to just be listening, because who the hell wants to look at my mug anyways, Jimmy? Come on. you might actually get more out of it. Hey, how are you, Jules? How are you, Dave? Good to see you. Hi, Carolina. How are you? And live now. So, hey, John, how's it going? All right. Clancy. So, I had an interesting call from a reporter, and thanks, Farmhouse. I look forward to doing this each night too. I got a little fired up about this call from a reporter, and so I'll share what I wrote because who knows, maybe it'll make the news. And I wanted to be sure that I went on record first before they tried to make anything up. Hi, Cheryl. How you doing, Angie? So a reporter from the King County Chronicle called me and was wondering why I was supporting Tom and so forth, for mayor of Geneva, because the King County Chronicle has publicly endorsed no other than Kevin Chicken Leg Burns. By the way, I did not explain to everybody earlier how he got his nickname, Kevin Chicken Legs Burns, but I will be glad to explain that if I could just get someone calls that and then someone seconds it. So if I get two people that say we want to hear why Kevin Chicken Legs Burns is called Chicken Legs, I will be more than happy to explain how he got his nickname, because I think it's funny. And so anyways, let me see here. Okay. Anyone? I guess nobody wants to know. Why is it Kevin called Chicken Legs? Okay, that's one. Anybody second tips? I second it. Beautiful. Thanks, Matt. So anyways, the video that I did earlier about Kevin Chicken Legs Burns, when I went up to him and confronted him about his view on abortion and him supporting Lauren Undertaker Underwood of Illinois 14, I went up to him. He's wearing this really weird looking suit, and I noticed it looked very odd. So I was kind of looking at him after I asked the question. I kind of walked away, and I kept looking at him, and I'm like, what the heck is wrong with this guy? So I'm staring at him, and I noticed he had these abnormally skinny legs, like literally, like his legs were just super, super skinny. And his pants were kind of falling off his legs, kind of that kind of skinny legs, kind of like a chicken. And when you looked above the waist, he was plump like a chicken, like one of these chickens that's twice the normal size. So it was one of the most bizarre views ever. I'm sitting there looking at this guy wearing a suit, and his pants look like they could barely hold themselves on, but then the top part of him is like boom, like one of these chickens that you see. So I couldn't help myself. I told my wife, I go, he looks like he's got chicken legs. I haven't seen anybody quite like that since. It was about 2 years ago. I might have seen one other person in my entire life that had abnormally thin legs, like, almost like a toddler or adolescent child. He what? It's worse than apple shaped. Okay, my wife is saying he looked apple shaped. I know, but it didn't look like Apple. It looked like he had no legs. You know, like, I mean, it was the closest thing to having no legs with how thin those legs were. I mean, it was that rail thin. Anyways, that's how he got his nickname, Chicken Legs. So, thanks, Dallas. I'm trying to make this funny. So I ended up being called by this woman from the King County Chronicle, okay? And her name is Brenda Shorey. So maybe she's listening. Hi, Brenda. How are you? Thanks for the polite call. But anyways, before I started my call, I told her, I said, look, I do not talk to press ever without a witness. So if you want to talk to me, you know, my wife is going to be on the phone. I put anybody from the press on speaker. I've learned the hard way in dealing with the stuff last year with voter stuff, that I do not ever talk to the press without it being live, with somebody can hear it, or it being recorded. Okay. So she said, fine, you know, you can record it if I want. I go, I don't need to record it, but I at least want to have a witness. So I have her on, and then she decides to start badgering me about me supporting Tom Simonian. And it ties into what we're doing, you know, with regards to all these readings and so forth. So she says, why are you saying that Kevin, why are you bringing up abortion and critical race theory? You know, why does that matter for local elections? And I said, well, first of all, local elections, you know, are the starting point for national elections. They should be a reflection of the values of our community. And Kevin Burns has made it very clear to me that he thinks it's okay to kill babies, period, as well as up to the moments before birth. I said, do you know what a partial birth abortion is? Or do you like to just talk about it in a way that makes you think less about how evil and vile it is? You know, and then she tried to deflect, but I just went on to explain to her that the baby's head is still in the mother and it's kicking. And then they decide to just sever the spinal cord, even though the baby could just be tugged out and it would be just fine. And I said, this is what this individual is okay with. He supports, and he was proud to support Lauren, the Undertaker Underwood of Illinois 14. And then on top of that, he supports her on, you know, he was proud to support her. So this critical race theory that's been passed in Illinois is very criminal. And I think that it should be, I think that these people are trying to start a race war, trying to make people that are white apologize for being white. I will never apologize for being white. They can pound sand before I ever did such a thing. And, you know, my wife is like, well, you know, people are going to try to paint you as a racist. I go, first of all, I got news for you. I love every race. So if that makes me a racist, so be it. I love people from all over this world. It's wonderful. We're all God's children, period. This idea that some of us are treated differently than other people because of the color of the skin. Hey, there's always jerk-offs in every group. There's plenty of black people that treat white people like crap. There's plenty of white people that treat black people like crap, and everybody in between. That's just the way life is. Get over it. Find better friends and find communities that support you if you feel like that's truly taking place. Did it happen years ago? Probably. But you know what? I want to make something clear. Over 50% of the blacks, and this is according to Thomas Sowell, who's I think from Stanford, he's an economist who has been one of the leading minds in the conservative movement. He basically said, look, over half of the blacks in America today got here less than 50 years ago. They immigrated here from Africa. So over half of the black Americans right now weren't here when slavery was around, folks. So this argument that somehow they've been disadvantaged is a bunch of horse shit. And here's the other thing. Yeah, well, first of all, the disadvantage they have is the way that the leadership in those respective countries in Africa treated their own citizens, as well as other repressive regimes in Asia and repressive regimes in Middle East and in Latin America and in Europe. And the thing is, nobody has a monopoly on evil people. You know, I say that all the time. People think that one group's more evil than the other. That's the biggest lie ever. there's plenty of evil people spread across every single group. That's just the way it is, folks. And it's one of the things that we have to overcome as a spirit while we're here on this ride we call Earth. And so anyways, this life that we're here, we have to experience this madness. We have to do our part to make the world a better place and stamp this evil out when it shows up. And that's just the way it is. And so evil, in my opinion, is action. It's never skin color. It's never, what somebody's sex is. It's not somebody's eye color. Eye color is no different than someone's skin color in terms of your DNA. And so all these arguments, I don't give them any, I never give them a second thought. They're all just lies, and they're meant to try to divide people. So anyways, given the fact that she's in the media, and I think that the media has a reputation of lying, and I called her out and I said, you're part of the problem. The media, King County Chronicle and other media, has looked the other way while Mr. Burns has done some things that are very suspect and he is very low character, and none of you reported on it. So the question should be, why haven't you reported on it? And why are we starting to find this out now? And so you guys have failed, which is why someone like me has to get up and speak. And then she was upset that I didn't contact, she felt like I should be doing certain protocol and everything else. And I'm like, look, my constituency is very simple. My constituency is my family. It's my kids. And the fact is, my children are growing up in this world where you have lunatics that think this is okay. They think it's okay to try to make white people think as though they're somehow the cause of these other things that are wrong with other races that are caused by their own problems, which ironically, of all things, are caused by the Democratic Party. Blacks in this country faced 100 years. They were enslaved, right? Basically, I don't know if they were enslaved 100 years. They had 100 years of struggle after slavery when Lincoln freed the slaves. And they, with all the difficulties that Americans of black skin color, I guess African Americans, I guess some are Americans of African heritage, as I like to say, in other parts of the Caribbean, which came from Africa, possibly. Maybe they were from other parts of the world. I don't know if everybody who has black skin is from Africa. I never really looked into it, but maybe I was joking around today that, my skin, you see how white my skin is, folks? Okay, my skin is super, super white. And I actually made a comment to Christian when he was working on my material or my equipment. I said, my skin is as white as Japanese people. And he goes, oh, you can't say that, Bobby. People might get insulted, or Japanese people might think you're being, racist. And I said, what are you talking about? I've been around Japanese people. I've been to Tokyo. I've been to Hawaii quite a few times. And I'm telling you, Japanese people's skin is actually whiter than mine. so all I can tell you is I'm speaking from experience. I'm not trying to be malicious. It's like I've never met any other people on planet Earth. And I've been around a lot of different types of people that have skin as white as me, other than Japanese people. So that's the deal, folks. So, I happen to like studying anthropology. So as a result of studying anthropology, I like to study the differences in human beings, not just how they look, but how they think, how they behave, what their cultures are, what makes them tick, all that type of stuff. I just enjoy it. And I'm fascinated by the human experience. And I think it's wonderful that we do have all these differences. As long as those differences don't impede the rights of others, I think it's wonderful. The moment differences start to try to steal other people's rights, I've got a big problem. And that's my issue. And so that's why I think communism is evil, and these individuals that try to push this agenda are in fact evil. So with this woman that contacted me, Brenda Shorey of King County Chronicle, I asked her why you guys, why they think it's okay to look the other way. And I posted it on Telegram. I posted it I posted it everywhere. I put it on Gab. I put it on my Twitter account. I put it on my professional LinkedIn account and my Facebook account. I'm wondering if Facebook's going to try to ban me for speaking my mind about this issue, but I'm not going to hide from it. This is how I feel. I'm tired of everybody looking the other way when all this evil continues to show itself. And not enough of us are speaking up against it. So I've made a decision to start speaking up against it, and that's just the way it is. And so, okay, let's go to day 39. Sorry about that little rant, folks. Exodus 28. Okay, clothing for the priests. You know, once again, I'm not entirely, I never really know what to think about clothing when they're so focused on protocol or, you know, what somebody looks like with regards to their clothing. Maybe this helps explain why I look the way I do, folks. You know, I get my sister telling me, you know, Bobby, you need to wear a little better of a shirt. You're always wearing sweaters. You know, I love my sister. Hey, Chris, I hope you're watching. But anyways, but clothing seems to matter to people. And for the life of me, I don't understand why it does at times. I just don't think about it. You know, it's like I got other things on my mind. And there's times where I think about like that movie, The Fly. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie The Fly with Jeff Goldblum, when every single article of clothing in his closet was identical because of, like, I guess Albert Einstein did that. He had like 7 pairs of pants, 7 shirts, and they were all exactly the same. And all he did, he just walked in and he had his Monday shirt, his Monday pants, and he just did the same thing. And sometimes I wonder if I would have a happier existence if I just did that. So I just took out the concern and thinking about what I should wear. So that's why you guys may see me wear some of the same stuff sometimes, because I just get tired of thinking about what I should wear. So I'm like, I like that sweater, and I put it on. Sometimes I'll wear the same sweater twice in 1 week. So be mad at me about that, I guess. But anyways, I'm laughing because as I read this is what I'm thinking about. So then he's talking about, you know, the design of ephod, and then the different types of stones in it, and engrave the names on stones the same way a jeweler engraves the seal, you know. And there's all this nuance and, I guess, ceremonial type of things. That's what I kind of think of. It's like a ceremony. And the question is, who's it making feel good? So, you know, I understand. I just want to make something clear, folks. I'm not making fun of people that enjoy the beauty of an incredible watch. Okay. Like I'll give you an example. Okay. When I was a kid, and I don't know where I saw this watch, but I saw one of these mechanical watches, and I have it locked up right now, but I'd show you what it looks like later, maybe on a different thing. But I always wanted a watch that was kinetic. So a kinetic watch has no battery, and it's handcrafted. This watch was made in Switzerland. There's only like a certain, I think like maybe 2,000 watches made from scratch of this watch. And when you look at it, it's like all the parts, you know, you can see everything. It's a skeleton. And, you know, did I need that watch? You know, you might ask yourself, why'd you buy the watch? Why do you need that watch? You can just buy a basic, you know, $2 analog watch or a little digital watch, what, you know, that you just see the numbers and it matches the watch that you have to wind up. And then when you're moving around, the kinetic energy from your body keeps it going. And I would say that, you know, the reason why I bought this watch is, you know, when I was a kid back in grammar school, and then when I got to high school, I started working, I saw one of these watches and I was fascinated by the amount of attention to detail, like that somebody took the time to construct this little watch. Like they, you know, like a watchmaker took the time and they engineered every single little piece, and they had to get it just right, and they had to get the tension on the springs, and they had to figure out how to fit this thing together with all these moving parts, and they put it in as a piece of art. And it was just, you know, it was beautiful. And so I ended up buying one of those watches. I had a number in my head, you know, what I needed to make in 1 year. And I said, you know, if I make that much money in 1 year, I'm going to buy myself that watch. I don't care what it costs. I'm going to buy that watch. And so anyways, you know, it is intricate work, and I love that watch. And I still have that watch to this day. I probably bought it, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago or something, maybe longer. And, you know, I don't wear it every day. I don't need to wear it every day, but I know I have it. And the thing is, I don't care if anybody else, I'm just sharing it with you. I've never discussed it publicly why I bought this watch unless somebody asked me. But I bought it because of what the level of care and the expertise and the passion of just producing something that very few human beings take the time to produce. And so when I read this is what I'm thinking about is like this type of design, that what human beings are capable of when they want to sit down and really grind and think about this stuff. And by the way, I'm really sorry. I owe somebody a call, and they're going to be very mad at me. I can't believe. So there's a gentleman that called me from California while we're talking about this, who he actually reached out to me, and I'm not going to tell you his last name because I respect his privacy, and I don't think you'll be able to figure out who he was by just his first name. But I spoke with him earlier today, and he actually fits into this story, ironically. So here he is. He fits into this story of what's going on and so forth. And if you give me 1 second, I will tell you why he fits into the story, which is funny how God works in all of this stuff. And maybe he's watching this, maybe he isn't. But if he is watching this, I'm going to text him and see if I can give him a quick call afterwards. And kind of go over this stuff. A couple things that we needed to talk about, and sometimes it's just it gets a little crazy, folks. But his name is Roger. So Roger, I apologize if you're listening to this, and I told you I'd call you in a couple hours, and I went to dinner, and then this reporter called me. So I spent a half hour, 45 minutes trying to get off the damn phone with this reporter. And but I will call you afterwards. I'll text you and see if you're free to chat. And so my apologies that I haven't called you back sooner. But the reason why I'm bringing up Roger is Roger was involved in technology, and in particular in design. And he's an exceptionally bright mind. I looked up his background. Before we spoke. Like I said, folks, I do fact check people. I like to see if who I'm talking to is real, and I found out that he was in fact who he said he was before I called him. So Roger, I hope you don't mind. I hope you fact check me. Make sure that I'm Bobby Python. So anyways, so I turned around and looked into his background, and it just so happens that he is part of a company that I've known about for over 2 decades, right? So it's pretty cool because I've known about this company. They do exceptional things. It's publicly traded, and he was one of the people that founded it, which is super cool. So it's kind of like, wow, I've seen this company. I'm impressed with what they've done, and the people that are working on these problems. You have to be able to think in multiple dimensions and see things across space and time. And he has that type of mind. And I didn't need to talk to him very long to realize that he has that type of, that not only did I think he had that kind of mind, that he does have that kind of mind. So we had a wonderful conversation. And, I got to tell you, it's pretty funny though, because it's like, you regardless of how smart you think you are, or how good you are in anything in this life, or where you are, whatever your station in life is, rest assured, there's always somebody who's smarter. So, I'm just kind of chuckling because, I finished a year of college in 20 weeks in college in under 3 years. And he said, that's pretty cool, and I thought it was like, yeah, no, it was kind of nice. I didn't really think much of it. He goes, yeah, I finished college too in 3 years at Princeton. And I'm sitting there like, oh man, there's always that healthy competition. It's like, no offense, but DePaul is no Princeton. So it's like, you finished 3 years at Princeton. I've met a few people from Princeton and MIT and other schools over my lifetime. And I can appreciate the caliber of the brains from those schools, that they're a lot of fun to talk to about nuanced subjects, as I would like to say, just things that nobody really cares too much about unless they get bored and start reading, an encyclopedia. so anyways, is pretty cool for him to reach out. But what also is cool about it is I think it ties into the story because this individual designed a lot of things that we take for granted in the world we live in. So, things it just happens to be in an industry that we all, our lives have been totally transformed by, which is semiconductors and so forth. So, creating the architecture, mapping it out, designing circuitry, figuring out how these things work, how to use energy, how these different states of matter flow through these different mediums, so to speak, is super fascinating. And, I'm hoping to work with them. I think we are going to work together, because of what's happening with Arizona and in other states. He had some pretty really unique, novel ideas for what to do with regards to, developing a better voting system for the country. And he's also of the mindset that he wants to make a difference and give back to the world. And I think it's just absolutely awesome. And look at the way God works. I mean, this guy didn't know who the hell I was a few months ago. And, I knew about his company, but I never really delved into the details about who created these companies. And then we both kind of crossed paths because of something like this. And so I'm excited to see what's going to happen with this. But this ties into this commitment to excellence. Everybody who's listening to this, I can't stress it enough. Every single human being, and I started writing a book about this. And actually, my son's on here. So hi, Ronan, how are you? So one of the things I started writing is a book about a handbook for my kids. And I started it. I didn't finish it because I kind of started. I did starts and stops because I'm not sure if they're going to read the damn thing. So I think I have like maybe 60 to 90 pages written. And I started writing this book about like if I got hit by a bus or something happened to me by mysterious causes, what would I want my kids to know, going through this world. And so that was kind of the premise of the book, kind of like what are some of the key guideposts that I would want them to think about and know about and so forth. And so that was the structure of how I created it. But one of the starting points in the first chapter that I wrote about is how every human life is intrinsically worth over $1 billion. And I kind of walk through the mathematics on how every single human life in this world is worth over $1 billion if you had to put a price tag on it. And I kind of explained why it's worth over $1 billion. And that we, because of various forces in society, how we're treated, how different things play out, how we get stuck during different segments of time throughout our life cycle, we degrade our value and we give up that value and we destroy that value that could have been generated between the interactions that we have with other human beings and so forth. So anyways, maybe I need to get back to finish writing that book. But when I think about this and I think about this story, I think about the ability that each one of us intrinsically has to create such beauty and, just to be able to stay focused and create, not just for our own sake, that we know that we did it and we created it, but to honor God. The way you honor God is to live up to your potential. Living up to your potential is creating. And so creating is part of the whole capitalist system in a pure form. And so we have that ability, all of us, and somehow there's some individuals among us that don't like that. And they want to be the only one that people believe can create. Somehow having other people feel as though they're less makes them feel better, which is a very evil approach. It's a very communistic, satanic approach that you have to think others are at a disadvantage or worse than you for you to feel better about yourself. And it's very sad. But anyways, I think that was a really good ending for Exodus. I think that's the last part. So I'm glad we kind of went through this and so forth. You know, I'm not sure what's going on here. What should we release? Oh, great. So I don't know. There's some chatting going on. I'm sorry, folks. Sometimes when I'm going over this stuff and thinking about these things, I don't read all the comments, but I do try to read them later. Okay, so let's talk about Matthew 25. But when the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, then he will sit upon the glorious throne. All the nations will be gathered in his presence, and he will separate the people as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He will place the sheep at the right hand and the goats at his left. Then the king will say to those on his right, "Come, you are blessed by my Father. Inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the creation of the world. For I was hungry, and you fed me. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me into your home. I was naked, and you gave me clothing. I was sick, and you cared for me. I was in prison, and you visited me." Then these righteous ones will reply, "Lord, when did we ever see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and you gave you something to drink, or a stranger and show you hospitality, or naked and give you clothing? When did we ever see you sick or in prison?" And the king will say, "I tell you the truth. When you did it to the least of those of my brothers and sisters, you are doing it to me." Then the king will turn to those on the left and say, "Away with you, you cursed ones, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his demons. For I was hungry and you didn't feed me. I was thirsty and you didn't give me a drink. I was a stranger and you didn't invite me into your home. I was naked and you didn't give me clothing. I was sick and in prison and you didn't visit." Then they will reply, "Lord, when did we ever see you hungry, thirsty, or stranger, naked, or sick, or in prison?" And he will answer, "I tell you the truth, when you refuse the least of my people, that you do unto me." Right? That's the song. "Whatsoever you do to the least of my people, that you do unto me." I remember singing that song quite a bit in church. And so that song is, I guess, the base. That song came out of Matthew 25. So, that it's a very interesting concept, right? Because there has to be a balancing act, with how much you help people. I know this doesn't get into the nuances of when you should help people that are sick and naked. And, I know that this is kind of figurative. It could be literal. But we, as a Judeo-Christian society, have put a lot of things in place to help with this. We have social stabilizers. We have Social Security. We have unemployment insurance. We have people that can't afford housing. There's public housing. We have people that have programs. If they fall on hard times, they can get Medicaid for people that are poor, for health insurance. They can get food stamps. They can get any type of other public housing assistance. We have unbelievable stabilizers in our society. And I think a lot of this stems from the fact that we believe in these principles that Matthew is talking about, that if we want to create a just society and a fair society, we have to have things in place for those that are the least of, I guess you can say, they have the least amount of luck. I don't really like to use the phrase, even though it says the least of my people, because that implies that somehow they're defective. So I don't like that language, but I will say the least lucky. Something bad happened. They were born with just a shitty hand. Something happened. They made some bad decisions. Things took a turn for the worst. And those folks that really are truly down on their luck, not the ones that are trying to manipulate us. I think we know the difference. I think, when we work on an individual level, unfortunately, there's a lot of corrupt people that try to manipulate the government when there's programs like that in place, and they try to just say that they're one of these downtrodden individuals, which is what this critical race theory is about. and these other communist propaganda of these lunatic lefts, that we shouldn't buy into that. This is not what it's about. That's called, they're literally using the narrative for manipulative purposes, evil purposes, and so forth. By the way, I got to tell you, Maria, with regards to how generous America is, and I did a clip, and I got to see if I can find it. But when President Trump changed the law for regards to how much you can write off for charity, there was a lot of people that were upset in the industry. These industries, there's industries that profit off of this, folks. I'm not joking around. There's people that profit off of like this charitable giving stuff. Like, I mean, massively profit. I'm not talking just a little bit of money. They're living large, man. They're making a lot of money. They're living large. They have really fancy parties. It's all in the name of charity, though, folks. So it's okay. As long as it's in the name of charity, that $1,000 dinner is okay. But, who knows what the cost structure is, but 15% of it flowed to the recipients. We got the other $85 though. Anyways, or $850. But these folks, I talked to a few of them at a fundraiser, and I said, look, Americans give more money. I think if you look at our giving in dollars, absolute dollars, I think it's almost $400 billion, right? $400 billion last time I checked. I think nobody in the world comes close to that number, like any other country. I'm not even sure if every other country in the world combined matches what the United States donates per year. $400 billion. So you got to sit there and you wonder, why in the world why are Americans guilted into thinking we're not doing enough? Why is this media lie so much that we're not generous people? When nothing could be further from the truth. Americans are incredibly generous. On top of that, we're overtaxed. Imagine how much more we would be giving if we had more money available to give. And so the fact that we still give away that much money in these corrupt times is something else. Meanwhile, people like the Clintons, with this foundation, what an absolute joke to call that a foundation. It's a scam to rip off money and to create a propaganda tool for communists. A lot of the universities in this country, a lot of these institutions that were so-called nonprofits have turned into nothing more than infestations of very critical evil ideology that they espouse on the American public. And the problem is these sons of bitches don't even pay any taxes. And so these foundations don't pay any taxes like the rest of us. They buy property and don't probably pay property taxes. And then they sit there with this holier than thou, hide behind this institution, making $500,000 to $1 million a year. It's just criminal. I think that all these people are criminal. I think we should have absolutely radical transparency. If you want to avoid paying any taxes in our society, then every American should be able to see your damn books. You know what? You want your privacy? Privacy has a cost. It's called taxes. You want to be, you think you should be exempt from taxes, then guess what? No problem. Let's see what the hell you're spending the money on. So everybody who's donating money to you sees exactly how the money is spent and whether or not they should continue to donate any money to you. So anyways, that's my 2 cents on that with regards to these so-called, these self-righteous institutions that have corrupted the American landscape and the American people. Okay, Matthew 26. When Jesus had finished saying all these things, he said to his disciples, and Passover begins in 2 days, and the Son of Man will be handed over and crucified. So Jesus was aware of this because the disciples were indignant when they said, what a waste. It would have sold for a high price and the money was given to the poor. And this was a woman came in with a beautiful alabaster jar of expensive perfume and poured it over his head. Okay? And then Jesus said, why criticize this woman for doing such a good thing to me? So that's pretty interesting, right? You have a situation where Um, um, hold on a second. You know, you know. So let me start this over on Matthew 26. Okay. Okay. At the same time, the leading priests and elders had come to a meeting with the residents of Caiaphas, a high priest, plotting how to capture Jesus secretly and kill him, but not during the Passover, or the people may riot. Meanwhile, Jesus was in Bethany in the home of Simon, a man who had previously had leprosy. While he was eating, a woman came in with a beautiful alabaster jar of expensive perfume and poured it over his head. The disciples were indignant when they saw this and said, "What a waste! It could have been sold for a high price and the money given to the poor." But Jesus, aware of this, replied, "Why criticize this woman for doing such a good thing for me? You will always have the poor among you, but you will not always have me. She had poured the perfume on me to prepare my body for burial. I tell you the truth, whenever the good news is preached throughout the world, this woman's deed will be remembered and discussed." Which is pretty interesting, right? So this woman, the question is, right? This is I guess a philosophical question. Did God speak to this woman? Did God the Father speak to this woman and say, "Hey, I think you need to go pour this perfume on my son because he's about to get killed and die for man's sins"? Or did this woman figure this out on her own, right? Who knows? Or did she just do it as a kind gesture? So which one of the three is it? And maybe it's all three. And so, anyways, it's an interesting dilemma to think, right? Because I do believe that I have no doubt when I say I believe. I have zero doubt in my mind, and I have had plenty of examples in my own life and existence on this earth that God does speak to people. I've met people that God speaks to. I know that God speaks directly with me and has for a very long time, more so now than ever before. And who knows? I can't tell you why. I've been able to tap in that connection. I sure hope more people feel that and can sense it and can do it. And I guess I'll try to do my part to help people be able to do that connection, because it truly is, it is bliss. That's the best way to describe it. It's one of the best sensations in the world. I think not in the world, the best sensation. I think it is the best sensation. When I go into that state of being, everything's just gone. Like I could feel that I'm not here in a physical sense, but I'm here in a spiritual or non-physical sense, and so forth. And so, did this woman receive that message right before she did that, and know to do that? And did Jesus know that the disciples would react that way? So did Jesus, send the message to this woman to do that very thing, to teach the disciples a lesson? I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if that was the case, and so forth. And so it's pretty interesting how it's all tied together. It's all just weaved together, and we get to see little bits and pieces and try to make sense of it. And so it's like a ball of yarn. Like you got this ball of yarn and you're wondering how this whole thing got tangled up, and you're just trying to untangle it a little bit, and you get a better sense of what's going on. And I think this is why I really like those Jackson Pollock paintings that nobody wants to help me with in my house. Did you hear me, Nicole? I said that's why I like my Jackson Pollock puzzle that nobody in the house wants to help me with, because it's like a big ball of yarn. I'm just trying to solve this puzzle. There's colors going every which way, and it's I understand. I think it's enjoyable for me, but it's one of those things that it's more enjoyable working on it with two people. because there's times that on that puzzle, I've spent 30 to 45 minutes to find one piece. And so it requires an incredible patience and humility, because you have 1,000-piece puzzle, and to identify one piece in one specific spot. If you run through and try to identify which way to do it and set it up, you might spend 30 to 45 minutes. Now, keep in mind, folks, when I do these things, it's one of the times that I like to think. so it's not just about the puzzle. I go into a state of just complete detachment from anything else in the world. I don't think about anything else but the damn puzzle and any of my thoughts that come in, that I want to clarify what I'm thinking about. So I do enjoy it from that perspective, and I highly recommend puzzles for anybody who wants to train their mind, because I do think, I tell my kids this all the time, pattern recognition is an underappreciated skill set that all of us should have. I mean, I think we all have the ability to develop it further, but it takes work, and it takes patience, and it takes discipline. And if you work on problems, you can start out with small ones. And some people, you can do Sudoku puzzles, and you can do a 100-piece puzzle, and kind of go up from there. I like to think about how to create various classes of pieces and colors and designs and different methodologies. I've thought about how to program it so that I can just take a scanner and scan these pieces and find the optimal location of any puzzle piece relative to the photo. So your mind just comes up with creative solutions when you're like, what's the fastest way to get this damn thing done? But this is a really good segue, because we're kind of wrapping up here. But I want to talk about this with regards to artificial intelligence. So my son was telling me about, this, what's his name? Elon Musk. And then the other guy. Hey, Nicole, who's the guy that has like 12 million followers on chat? The guy that won he got that big contract. Spotify? Rogan. Yeah. So there's a guy named Rogan, and I've listened to him a couple times. He interviews some pretty cool people, and I guess he interviewed Elon Musk. So my son was talking to me about this whole concept of plugging in, using Elon Musk's. He wants to plug in people's brains, and they've tested this stuff out on a pig. Joe Rogan, yep. And so with this pig, they've mapped out through mathematics what part of the brain works, how the pig walks, all the type of mathematics associated with walking for the pig. And then they can send different signals to the pig for how it should behave and so forth. And he says, well, Elon Musk is saying that, we have so much data and so much information that we're going to, wire ourselves in. And that's the way we're going to be, right? Human beings are going to wire themselves into the web and do all this stuff and so forth. Neuralink, yep. And so I asked my son, I said, it was a long conversation. I haven't listened to this yet, folks. I told him I would listen to it. I'm just curious what he has to say. But I said, well, let's talk about it for a second. Let's just assume that you can accomplish anything, like in like 2 minutes on this earth, 5 minutes. Anything you ever thought of ever accomplishing, the moment you thought it, you knew it in 5 minutes. And the moment you wanted to know anything about a culture or a book, you knew the entire book in 5 minutes. And then you just, everything was under 5 minutes. You can just learn every book, every experience, every place on earth. You knew it all. And I said, and then what? Like, okay, you know everything. You've seen it all. You've experienced it all. And then what? And I said, would you still really be a human? Would you be a human? Because part of this, I go, I kind of related it to food. I said, there's people that eat fast food, and you can go to McDonald's or Starbucks and pick up a sandwich for $4 or $5, and you can eat that sandwich, and you had a meal and it was quick, and most people don't even think about what they just ate. They just eat it because they think they're hungry and they are on a routine and they do it. I said, or you can go to a nice dinner, or you can make dinner at home, and you can take 2 or 3 hours to make the dinner. And it's a Friday night, and you're making the dinner, and you take all the ingredients and you give them care, and you just enjoy the whole process, and you take your time and you enjoy the meal, you enjoy the conversation, and then you took the time to really enjoy every aspect of that meal. And let's just say, for simplicity's sake, they were both the same amount of calories. And my question to you is, when you design your life, do you want it as the fast food sandwich, or do you want it as the 2 to 3 hour meal? Which one do you think you're going to remember if you were here for a little while? Which one do you want to set up? So when I hear these conversations with regards to artificial intelligence are being wired into something, I said, number one, we don't know what the ramifications are, if it's going to permanently damage your consciousness and your reality and destroy, the uniqueness of us being human. So as tempting as it may be, I have no interest in ever using it. So I've actually locked up a domain name and coined a phrase called augmented intelligence. So the way I look at these technologies is that we can augment the collection of data and information to allow us to make better decisions at our own pace, but we control the tempo. So the key thing in my mind about this human experience is that we need to create the tempo that we get to live our lives in. And artificial intelligence and these other technologies like Neuralink and everything else, we lose the ability to call the shots. Sounds very communistic now, doesn't it? So once again, Elon Musk and these globalists are trying to figure out ways to take control of the last remaining vestige of our freedom, which is our brains. They're trying to take control of our brains and wire us into something under the guise that it will make us happier or allow us to do things faster. And my question, and the question that you should consider asking, is, for what? Why do you need life to go faster? It's already too fast. There's already situations where kids don't spend time with their parents. They're always on their phone. You never really have a conversation with your spouse. Everybody's on an electronic device. Now, Keevan, look at me. I'm on an electronic device. But this is a little different, folks, because I do think that we're enjoying a conversation, even though I'm the one talking. By the way, thank you, Maria. I got StreamYard working, so I do need to get that set up. So tomorrow we'll get StreamYard set up, and we'll start kind of calling on people randomly, which would be pretty cool. We'll do questions and break this up into segments. And so I'd like to start doing that. Let's start tomorrow. It's great. It's the start of the second quarter. It's 4/1, April Fools. Actually, I'm just kidding with you folks. We're not going to do StreamYard tomorrow and open it up to questions because it was just a joke. Tomorrow's April Fools. No, now which one is it? Is it joking or am I serious? No, I will do I will do it tomorrow, folks. I'll set it up tomorrow. but it is April Fool's Day tomorrow. But anyways, we get to call the shots, and that's what makes life far more enjoyable. And I think that we should be extremely careful when we're sold, or we're people are trying to sell these things to us and attempt us to do things that go against our intuition, our gut, our feeling, and so forth, because I just think it leads to disastrous results and so forth. And so, it's something to think about. And, I sure hope that everybody else takes reason, gives reason for pause before they do anything silly like that, if it becomes available. So we're at Psalms 31. Have mercy on me, Lord, for I am in distress. Tears blur my eyes. My body and soul are withering away. I am dying from grief. My years are shortened by sadness. Sin has drained my strength, and I am wasting away from within. I am scorned by all my enemies and despised by my neighbors, and even my friends are afraid to come near me. When they see me on the street, they run the other way. I am ignored as if I were dead, as if I were a broken pot. I have heard that many rumors about me, and I am surrounded by terror. My enemies conspire against me, plotting to take my life. But I am trusting you, O Lord, saying, you are my God. My future is in your hands. Rescue me from those who hunt me down relentlessly. Let your favor shine on your servant, and your unfalling love rescue me. Don't let me be disgraced, O Lord, for I called out to you for help. Let the wicked be disgraced. Let them lie silent in the grave. Silence their lying lips, these proud and arrogant lips that accuse the godly. And so, you know, there's something to be said. Once again, there's a recurring theme with regards to, people suffering, right? Life is filled with suffering, and as we know, and there's a lot of people that have to learn to overcome it, and in some respects, let go of it and give it up, so to speak, and not have attachment to that physical aspect of our bodies and our spirituality and so forth. Like we need to detach our spirit from our physical form. And I have an interesting trick I'd like to share about this, and maybe some of you have done it, maybe some of you have not. But I happen to like really deep tissue massages. Like I'm talking, like the ones that are kind of painful, the ones where, it's almost like they could take a piece of wood, or they take their elbow and they really, flatten out your muscle if it's gotten kinked up or there's stuff in it, so that it increases the circulation and so forth. And some of those massages can be somewhat painful if you're knotted up, but it's important to have them, because I do believe that not having massages, especially as you get older, can lead to it can help prevent heart attacks and such. I have no idea if this is true. I'm just telling you, I speculate, because it's like, I remember one time I had a knot in my back that flowed through to the front of my chest. No joke. This was about 4 or 5 years ago. Like I had a knot that was that bad. Like literally, it's like by my shoulder blade, and I could feel the knot. Like somehow it was pulling on something here. As this knot got cleared out, it cleared up a knot on my chest and so forth by my heart. I'm not saying that the muscle went through there. I'm saying that the tension, it's kind of like, it's like a rag, a wet rag. You just kind of like tighten it. It kind of caused some kind of tightness elsewhere and so forth. But anyways, clearing out that knot, in one spot opened up the other spot. And I, a funny thing happened. I could breathe better. And I had other stuff, I guess, going on. I didn't realize on a subconscious level, but it manifests itself in my body. And so I couldn't help but think, I've had really nasty knots in my arms. The ones where, if you have a knot in your left arm, it could be a sensation that you might have a heart attack, stuff like that. And I got thinking about, like, and I'm not a physiologist or anything, and I'm just kind of thinking through, like, okay, well, what does it mean if you have knots and your blood flow through your body and the circulation is being stopped along the way? What does it look like, right? It's kind of like blocking part of a river. If you look at your blood flow in your body is kind of like a river system. So if you have part of the river that's kind of dammed up because of knots and tensions and things in your blood that kind of create this mess, can it impact your health? And I think the short answer is yes. Like, how much so? I guess a doctor would know, but I think it's enough to the point where you need to get it cleared out. So yes, I do agree you need to drink plenty of fluids. But one of the things I've noticed with regards to, massage and so forth, is if I have a really nasty knot in my arm or something, or my leg, and I need somebody to work on it, okay, like a therapist is working on that knot, and it hurts like hell. Like I've had knots where it kind of feels like somebody's cutting me with a knife. So what I do is when they're working on it with their elbow or with a wooden block, and they're just kind of like trying to straighten out that knot, I just imagine that the pain that I'm feeling inside my body, I just kind of put it onto the other side with the wood, or with the with the elbow. So I'm just like, man, what the hell is it that hurts like that over there? And I just kind of send it out of my body, and I just picture the pain outside of my body, like literally on the other side of my skin. It's the funniest thing, but it helps deal with the pain remarkably well. And so you literally just transfer the pain and the aggravation that you feel in your physical form, and you shift it out of your physical form, but you still don't deny that it's there. You just acknowledge it as something that's outside of your body. It's unbelievable how well it works for me. I don't know if anybody else has ever tried this, but it is pretty cool if you can take the time to do such a thing, because it will make a huge difference in how much pain you can tolerate, how much you can shift pain that exists in your physical body outside of your body. So anyways, that's what I would, that's one of the things I would suggest that people give it a shot. Okay, Proverbs 8. I, wisdom, live together with good judgment. I know where to discover knowledge and discernment. All who fear the Lord will hate evil. Therefore, I hate pride and arrogance, corruption and perverse speech. And so there's no doubt in my mind that I hate evil, and I hate people that lie. It's a big pet peeve of mine. I've never been afraid of admitting a mistake or dealing with the consequences of doing something wrong. And, because I do believe that whenever you do something wrong and you deny it, I do think it magnifies the problem, that, it'll come back and bite you significantly more in the future if you don't come clean about something you did wrong. So, and I guess there's a reason why, those who fear the Lord will hate evil, because evil, the definition of evil is people that mislead others and do things that are, they take advantage of the most innocent among us. I just kind of wrote about that with the abortion thing earlier. And the quote that I gave with regards to evil, what I said about it is, and this is from a movie, I think it's Kingdom of Heaven. Holiness is in right action and courage on behalf of those who cannot defend themselves. Goodness, what God desires, and is in our minds and in our hearts, which decide to do every day, will determine if you will be good, you will be a good woman or not, woman or man or not. And so if you want to be a good person, I do believe that it has to match up with your heart, your mind, and I would even say your spirit. And it's the courage to act on those who cannot act on behalf of themselves. So this is why I do feel the whole idea with regards to abortion and these children that are being slaughtered, if we can't find the strength and the courage to speak up on the most innocent human beings that will ever come into this world, which is a brand new baby, a brand new child who's done absolutely nothing wrong, who can we speak up for, right? If we can't pass that litmus test of speaking up for the most vulnerable and innocent among us, it's a pretty sad state of affairs. And I think it kind of makes things significantly worse in every other aspect and area of our life. And I don't think it's a coincidence that we've suffered as much as we have, and we're dealing with as many difficulties as we are because of the fact that we've looked the other way and just assume it's somebody else's problem. And it doesn't matter, because none of our kids or grandkids are going to have abortion, so we should ignore it. But meanwhile, the people in our society that were most in need of care of trying to deal with their concerns and fears and issues, we just look the other way. And so I think we need to stop doing that. I think we need to speak up against this evil, and we need to look to find solutions, because one baby being killed every minute of every day is just unacceptable. In this world, there's 1,440 minutes in the day. And that's over 500,000 minutes in a year, but there's over 700,000 abortions a year. So this is the problem, folks. We have to put this insanity and evil to an end, and it's going to take some time. But I do believe that if we take the time to knock out people like Kevin Burns as mayor, and go after other people in government and elected officials that think this is okay, I do think we will prevail. And then we need to go up the chain, knock out the people in state government, knock out the people in federal government, and find candidates that are so much better, higher quality, honest people who do believe in the sanctity of life and how we need to defeat communism and evil once and for all by actually doing the work and making a difference and so forth. So with that, I just want to say, God bless you. God bless your family and friends. May God continue to bless the greatest nation in the history of the world. And may peace be with you. And if you don't have peace, if you put God first, I have no doubt that it will find you. Carolina, I do agree that we need to start teaching abstinence in school. And I do think that we need to have better systems in place to deal with children that weren't expected. I think we have the resources to do this and solve it in society, but we should definitely prevent, people from the most innocent among us from being slaughtered and thinking somehow it's okay. So, anyways, Sarah, I think we all love you. There's a lot of love in this room, and I think everybody. I think I speak for everybody when I say it. We all love you as well, and love everybody for taking the time to try to make more sense of the world that we live in and make a difference and make it a better place. So with that, you guys have a wonderful evening, and God bless you. And I got to go text Roger back before he doesn't want to call me again. So thanks again, everybody. Have a wonderful evening.